Hello, BookTube, and welcome back to this ad hoc kind of library tour that I'm doing. It's not complete, it's not consecutive, it's not going clockwise around the whole world. It's just the hutch here in the living room, this built-in set of bookshelves that I want to grapple with. I want to get this under control, and I think I know the way to do it. I think I know. Uh, it's going to take a lot of rearranging, but of course, the key ingredient of dealing with this space that's clogged with books, or any other space that's clogged with books, is to get rid of books. That's the key thing. You've got to give yourself room to maneuver, and the only way you can do that is to get rid of books. So I will be doing that. But first, we will enumerate them all. So what is this first one? Oh, okay. This is by Susan Birch and someone named Hannah Joyner. This is Unspeakable, the story of Junius Wilson, who was a black man in the Jim Crow South, but he was also deaf, and basically had his entire life taken away from him. The whole of his life spent in state custody of one kind or another, totally unfairly, totally without justification. Imagine living that life, but also, hats off to these two authors. Imagine excavating that life, much less doing it so well. Pretty impressive. Then we have a galley copy of something. Oh, this is from 2020. This is Barton Gellman's book, Dark Mirror. Another book about Edward Snowden. I have 3 books about Edward Snowden in addition to his own. And they aren't all together. They aren't, in fact, even in the same room. All 3 of those are in 3 different rooms. Utterly ridiculous. This was really good, though. This is the advanced copy, so I have no idea. I can't remember off the top of my head if I reviewed this or if I'm blurbed anywhere on it. But it was very, very good. It's a perfect example of how things get buried in this recessed hutch and then lost to the light of day. And that is not good. I'm actually wondering now that we've seen these first 2 books. I'm wondering if this video will also serve as a random hedgehog book recommendation video as well, since I imagine a lot of these I can recommend. Otherwise, I'd like to think I wouldn't keep them. Okay, here's a book that is loaded with clippings. Somebody else put the clippings in, not me. This is a perfect example of something that I would once have thought that I couldn't recommend. This is W.G. Sebald, and this is his book Austerlitz. A weird combination of fact and fiction, a weird type of thing this author staked out for his own that I generally didn't like. I had generally not liked his books. Then, thanks to BookTube, a number of you said, you really ought to go back and look at him. He's not just posturing. And he's not just cynicism. And I went back, and sure enough, I found that to be true. I really, really enjoyed Austerlitz. Next, we have Fred Bodsworth. This is Last of the Curlews. This is these Edwin Waiteel nature classics. I love finding these. There was a whole run of them, and they were all really good editorial choosing. But this has illustrations. This is heavily illustrated of curlews. These are illustrated by T.M. Short, and you have not just curlews, but a bunch of other birds in there as well. It's a lovely tribute. A lovely bird book. I don't need much to sell me on a bird book. All right, good. This is a series that we've seen on this channel many times. This is Britain in Pictures. I mentioned this just recently on this channel because the Brattle Bookshop here in Boston has recently got a gigantic number of these things that are all on their end cap, their own end cap on the second floor. And I got the British Birds during that visit, and mentioned at the time that it would go along with a whole bunch of other Britain in Picture books that I have, and I have found a bunch of them here. This is British Dogs, then British Country Houses by Vita Sackville West, who actually grew up in one such house, and finally English Rivers and Canals. You've got a little sailing vessel there, but now it's quite the fad. The canal life in Britain is quite the fad, where you get a narrow boat, a long boat, and you go down the canals in these peaceful countryside dales and lochs and whatnot. We have George Booth. This is the New Yorker cartoonist George Booth. This is his book on dogs that it's just a collection of text by Morgan and illustrations by Booth about dogs, just funny anecdotes about dogs. Okay, we have next we have the Object Lesson series from Bloomsbury. These are, I don't think, any longer made. These were like very short introductions, that sort of thing. This they would commission a writer to pick some subject, whales or email or stairs or something like that, and write a book about it. Write a little book about it. Draw in as many secondary sources as you want to, and write a book about it. Most of them they were charming in their way. Most of them ended up being a waste of time. This one wasn't quite so much, but I'm not sure of that. I'm not sure that I'm just not in love with this subject. This is about space rovers, just called Space Rover. And they had these French flaps, cute little books. I had a whole bunch of them at one point, and just looked at them one day and thought, why are you keeping this? Why on earth are you keeping this? So I didn't. And I've kept this one mainly, I suppose, as a memento of the whole series, rather than because it's outstanding. Okay, then we have a classic. This is F.W. Holliday, The Great Orm of Loch Ness, a classic work on the Loch Ness Monster, rendered a little bit less active by the fact that the Loch Ness Monster, as it is described in this book, as it is hinted at in this book, absolutely does not exist. Absolutely does not exist. There is no large land-breathing animal living in Loch Ness, and there never has been. So the photo on the cover was revealed a little deathbed confession of it being a complete hoax. And every other thing has been a mistake of some kind or other. I don't doubt that there might be an undocumented large living animal in Loch Ness, probably a sturgeon, but not a plesiosaur or anything like it, not anything that sticks a head up out of the water or that can walk around on land. That would be a land-breathing animal. If there were a land-breathing animal in Loch Ness, there would have to be a breeding population of them, which means thousands of them. And if there were thousands of them, they would be surfacing in shoals to breathe and blow. And you would see that. You would absolutely see that. It is possible in some vantage points on Loch Ness to see an enormous amount of the lake all at once. And it's as smooth as a tabletop most of the time. There's nothing breaking the surface to breathe. Nothing. And also there's the fact, pointed out by David Prothero and others, that Loch Ness itself has frozen solid in the last few ice ages. So that would pretty much eliminate any kind of animal living there unless it swam in from the ocean. And then what? It hangs around in the ocean unobserved for tens of thousands of years. And then what? They check their Google Calendar and see that Loch Ness must be free of ice by now? No, this is instead mass delusion, urban mythology, but it's a classic book on that subject. Okay. Well, okay, here we have a main book, a classic main book, actually two of them. This is The Forest Years by Louise Dickinson Rich, and this is a collection of her breakout hit, We Took to the Woods, and then her follow-up, My Neck of the Woods, all in just one volume. These are utterly delightful, a family, roughing it out in what used to be the wild woods of Maine. I'm not as familiar with My Neck of the Woods as I am with We Took to the Woods. Once upon a time, everybody was reading We Took to the Woods and loving it. It's just an utterly charming book. Really a keeper. I'm never going to get rid of this volume. So this really does belong in the little book room. But we're going to encounter that quite a bit here, I think. All right, here we have a hardcover of Patriotic Gore by Edmund Wilson. Far divorced from my other Edmund Wilson, all of it. It's just wandering here on its own. This is his study of Civil War works of literature. He's always really good. So, no matter what he writes about, whether it's Russian literature or American literature or specifically Civil War literature, it's always going to be really good. This also is an absolute keeper. I'm not going to get rid of this. I return to it fairly often. So what's it doing out here? I don't know. Okay. These are Scholastic books. This is Max Steel. If any of you remember that weird pre-animation kids show on TV, Max Steel is the name of the main character, and he has nanobots inside his body that allow him to go turbo and become momentarily superpowered. I have Going Turbo, and I have Take It to the Max, and you see that's his name. And he fights bad guys. And I wish now, I only wish that I had got all the rest of them. I don't know how many Max Steel books Scholastic put out, but I wish I'd got all of them. I think there were two more. There's not much meat on the bones, so to speak, but I found the show just fascinating. I mean, it was dumb and cheesy, but I found it fascinating, and wrote a fan fiction story about it. Because there's a nerdy kid who is Max Steel's tech support. Max Steel is this big hulking teenage athlete, but he has a nerdy kid who is tech support. And I was originally interested in the kid because he is Hispanic, and that was almost unprecedented on Saturday morning shows at the time. But it was also completely obvious from the show that the tech boy was in love with Max Steel, and they never even come close to addressing it. So I wrote a story addressing it. Okay, I don't know what that is. It just fell over there. Oh, we have Edward Gorey, the doubtful guest. This was a series that the Edward Gorey estate put out of these little oblong books. This is about a guest who will not go home. Then they saw something standing on top of an urn, whose peculiar appearance gave quite a turn. And the peculiar guest will not leave. They often see the guest just standing there with its beak against the wall. They can't get the guest to leave. And there's one point, now and then it would vanish for hours from the scene, but alas, be discovered inside a tureen. I love it. Of course, I'm not going to get rid of it, but I have 3 copies of this, and one of them is in the little book room, so I don't have to worry about that. Okay, we have a standalone copy of Peter Shaffer's play Amadeus. Probably some of you have seen the movie. My copy is just annotated all to hell and gone. One of the only standalone plays that I have. I think I have a standalone of Peter Shaffer's Equus as well. But Amadeus is, of course, his play about Mozart that was made into a great movie with F. Murray Abraham. Okay, then we have a graphic novel sitting here away from all the other graphic novels. This is Crying Freeman. I got all of Crying Freeman, the individual issues, from a comic shop, just a local comic shop. I wandered by there one day, not in Boston, just up north, and there was this little French Canadian just sitting behind the desk. She seemed like an odd person to run a comic shop, and we got to talking, of course, because I'll talk with anybody. And I learned that her son bought the shop, took out a loan, all that sort of stuff, and then didn't have any kind of stick-to-itiveness. He didn't want to make anything of it, so he took off, and she just kept running the store. And we got to talking about comic books, and at first I thought, well, why don't I make this my comic shop? It's kind of on my route. And, she can get comics, so why not? And we were talking about what I liked and didn't like, and she made a recommendation of manga, back before manga had really started flooding America, of a comic series called Crying Freeman, about a young man who is kidnapped, and he's an artist, and he is kidnapped and trained to be an assassin. He's imprinted and trained to be an assassin. So he becomes the world's foremost killing machine. But the training couldn't get all the way to his soul, and so when he kills someone, he cries. She said, try it. Try the first issue. These were, at the time, they were being issued in single issues, single square-bound issues, not the whole storyline. The whole storyline, there'd been 9 or 10 volumes of Crying Freeman in Japan. And they were being issued in America individually, so you got one chapter only. And I tried it, and I loved it, so I told her, I want all of these, get them all for me, add them to your list. And so I have in long boxes, I have a gigantic pile of Crying Freeman. But this is the Viz Comics did these. They did the perfect collection, where they combined the 10 issues or the 8 issues that would make one storyline into one book. And this is the perfect collection of Abduction in Chinatown. I thought these were numbered, but apparently not. This is the perfect collection of Abduction in Chinatown. So I have this story, but all as individual 20-page issues, whereas this is one compact graphic novel. of, let's see, can we get Crying Freeman in action? Oh, there he is. One of the distinctive features of Crying Freeman is that his entire body has been tattooed by the people who turned him into a killer. So he's covered in tattoos, but here you saw him in a suit. But this is artwork by Ryoichi Ikegami. No idea what he's still doing, but it's all very fantastic. It's extremely graphic. Not just with violence, people's throats get cut, blood gushes everywhere, but also with sex. It's extremely graphic with sex, but the storylines end up being really good. So, I only have this one here. I don't even know that I have any other perfect collections of any other Crying Freeman arcs. I have all the issues somewhere. But anyway, let's move on. Okay, this is edited by Gerald Gross. This is Editors on Editing, an inside view of what editors do. What do they really do all day? Some of these essays are a lot more interesting than others. Some of them were written just for the fun of it, and those are the best thing in here. And this is another keeper. I'm never going to see another copy of this, so I definitely want it, since for you, those who are new to this channel, I am and have been many times in my life an editor. Okay, then we have... Are you a double, my dear? You are. I think you are. This is Kenneth Myrick. This is Sir Philip Sidney as a literary craftsman. This is a great literary study. It's so quotable. It's so quippy, but so insightful. And I got this copy 6 or 7 years ago, and I have another copy of this that I had the good luck to see a second copy, and I go back to it enough that A, it shouldn't be in this hutch buried in shadows, and B, I definitely wanted another copy. Oh, all right, good. This is Marbo Travels. They had a whole series that they did of travel writing literature, and this is William Dean Howells. This is Italian Journeys, sketches that he did of all of Italy when he went there as an official commission. And lived there with his family for quite some time. He did, Marlborough Travels brought out 2 William Dean Howells volumes, this one and also his book of sketches and collections just on Venice, where he lived quite some time. The Venice book is in the little book room. This one is not. No idea why. No idea. That doesn't make any sense at all. Here, let's make some sort of arrangement here while we're doing this. I'm leaving this shelf empty because I'm going to work magic on this hutch here and finally get it under control. Louis Breadvold. This is the intellectual milieu of John Dryden. Not a long thing at all, but packed with intelligence, packed with real insight into the world of John Dryden's letters, which, there aren't many. Dryden is a forgotten figure now. No one knows him. No one reads him. No one reprints him. No one quotes him. But nevertheless, there's a handful of books, probably 10, just enough for a starter kit. There's a handful of books on Dryden that are really, really good, and this is superb. And the type of thing, I got this at the Brattle, I believe. Yeah, I got this second copy last summer at the Brattle. The type of thing where I'm going to see this at the Brattle Bookshop, where you won't usually see it at a used bookstore. Okay. You're not a book, so you don't get in the tour. Oh, all right. Well, this next one was included simply for irritation's sake. This was from 2021. This is Peter Mendelssohn's novel, The Delivery, which it came as a naked hardcover, and I fulminated about it. No, that was 4 years ago. I fulminated about it every day on this channel, and eventually I figured out. I was saying over and over again on this channel, how on earth could I review this book? I did eventually find a way to do that. That pointed out its strengths and its overwhelming, glaring, damning weakness. The ending of the book. The ending of this book is unsalvageable. It makes the book, retroactively makes the book unsalvageable. You are either reading, the ending of the book reveals that you are either reading a betrayal, a story of the worst person in the world, or you're reading a prologue to the real story that you want to read. Either one is unsatisfactory when you get to the end of a novel. But I kept it. I guess I kept it out of sheer annoyance. Okay, we have Goodnight Tokyo by Atsuhiro Yoshida. Japanese zombie fiction about, very attractively done by Europa Editions, Japanese zombie fiction about a group of people wandering Tokyo at night. Nothing in the way of plot, nothing in the way of character, nothing in the way of believable dialogue. Just, I don't want to stop typing. There's actually a word for how long can you go just typing your novel, your cell phone novel. How long can you go without stopping? And then gets an American book deal. All right, more zombie fiction. This is Welcome to the Hayum Dong Bookshop by Huang Bo Room. It's a series of vignettes of people whose lives are changed one way or another by a particular bookshop, particularly the main character. Okay, well, I hope we're not mired in... Oh, God, help us, we are. This is Satoshi Yagisawa. This is Days at the Murasaki Bookshop. Again, just Japanese zombie fiction. Just nothing happens, nothing wants to happen, nothing knows that anything even is possible to happen. Just atmospheric in a way. None of these three books is bad to read. We've got three of them right here. None of them was bad to read. They're operating on a completely different idea of what a novel is or should be. Completely different than I would suspect you are, unless maybe you've become thoroughly inculcated into it by now. Okay. All right. Well, you're not present day anymore, are you, bucko? No, this is 1908. This is William Howard Taft, Present Day Problems, in which he writes about some of the problems facing the country in 1908. William Howard Taft was president of the United States. He succeeded Theodore Roosevelt. He preceded Woodrow Wilson. He was also the only president in American history to also serve as Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. He was a deliberate, kind, quiet, deep-thinking man, and would be, I don't even know the word, just slack-jawed with horror at our own present-day problems, where each one of us that is not part of a cult, 200 million Americans are part of a cult, 150 million Americans are not, and those 150 million Americans, their present-day problems are, well, how do I actually live in a dictatorship where anyone I know on my street could inform on me for money? To the Nazis, to a Nazi named Stephen Miller, to a Nazi named Elon Musk. They're in control now. They're never going to not be in control, and 200 million Americans want them to be in control. So do I leave the country? Do I flee? Will I be leaving vulnerable people behind? Are my communications being watched? I know already that my retirement accounts have been ransacked and by Nazi teenagers, so I don't have those to rely on anymore, but I don't know if my bank account is being monitored. I don't know exactly how I should go on from day to day. Those are the day-to-day problems. Those are the present-day problems of 150 million Americans in a country that still bears the name of the country that Taft was president. So I'm glad that we can't bring him forward to see on any of that, because that would be kind of astonishing. And in case you're wondering, he's a bit of a stodgy writer when he's writing stuff like this. These were speaking gig things. He's actually much better when he's writing when he's polishing or writing Supreme Court rulings. I got a big 2-volume set of the history of the Supreme Court, the Taft Court, and I used to be a Supreme Court junkie. I am a Supreme Court junkie for the court before it changed. All of this, everything that we do when we talk about America, when we talk about the United States of America, all of it has to be pre and post-fascism. I have to say that. I used to be a fan of presidential biographies. I'm not anymore. I used to be a fan of the Supreme Court, of writing about the Supreme Court. I'm not anymore. I used to be a fan of local civic government, of stories of local civic government. I'm not anymore, etc., etc., etc. So you know what I mean. I used to be a fan of reading about the Supreme Court, and I think it's easy to spot Taft's decisions when you're reading them in a collection of others. All right. Okay, we have 2 BookTube events, 2 BookTube books. We have Local Haunts and Served Cold. There's a copy of Served Cold in the little book room because it has a short story by me. The first short story that I wrote under my own name for publication in 30 years. The Cold Traps. Lots of other great stories, too. All right, what have we... Oh, we've got more of these little hardcovers, these lightweight little hardcovers. This is E. Phillips Oppenheim, who had a gigantic career and a million of these little hardcovers. This is the postmaster of Market Dainton. These little stories of his. E. Phillips Oppenheimer is so good. He's so enjoyable. I'm sure he's collectible now, so I'll probably never see another book like that. We have Adam Ring, Killers Play Rough, just a little mystery novel. We have the Mystery of the Cape Cod Tavern. Phoebe Atwood Taylor. She also had. I've seen whole shelves of these things. Wish I'd got them when I saw them. These are A.C. Mayo mysteries set in old Cape Cod, the Cape Cod that has already vanished, where it's always vanishing. Where there were all sorts of old salts who had down-home wisdom, and A.C. Mayo is like the god of all of those, solving murder mysteries. We have The Rise of Roscoe Payne by Joseph Lincoln. So I have yet another Joseph Lincoln novel. They're not all together. They should be all together. This was one of Joseph Lincoln's most popular books. All of his books are popular. You don't know his name any more than you know E. Phillips Oppenheim. But once upon a time, they were both incredibly popular. And this was one of his most popular books. I also happen to think it's one of his best books, if only for the portrait of the central character, Roscoe Payne. Then we have Somerset Maugham. This is Ashington, his proto-spy novel that really did kick off a whole genre. I found it in this little hardcover. We have Nordhoff and Hall, Mutiny on the Bounty. Just an old hardcover. Instead of Forever and Ever, I had the trilogy of Nordhoff and Hall books in one volume, and I never really read the other two, so I just decided to get Mutiny on the Bounty and leave it at that. A classic. This is a classic of military fiction. This is Kenneth Dodson's book Away All Boats. Again, there he is in full regalia. This is a nice old lightweight hardcover of the type that I really, really like. I'm never going to see them anymore. They'll probably become collectible. We have The Case of Mr. Cassidy by William Targ, another murder mystery. Some of these are considerably better than others, as you will know if you followed my endless videos on March Mystery Madness. We have a novel. This is from before we were talking to each other. But is it before I was reviewing? No, 2013. This is by Rolf Bauerdick, and it's translated from the German by David Dollemeier, and it's The Madonna on the Moon, which is is a little bit, the word about is a little bit misleading on a book as meandering and thoughtful as this one. But it's about, well, I'm not supposed to call them gypsies, and I don't remember the fascist-approved word that I'm supposed to call them. Otherwise, I get everything in my life destroyed for having misspoken a word. I don't remember what the safe word is, and I don't give a goddamn. It's about gypsies and also about a bunch of other things. It's about romance as well. At heart, it's about romance. What is the word? I can't remember. I should look at Novara Media. They are entirely up on the fascist newspeak that they demand you use, or they and themselves will cancel you. These wonderful socialists who believe in free will. Is it travelers? I don't remember. It doesn't matter. It's just a word. Anyway, we have science fiction. Robert Silverberg, The Face of the Waters. In my opinion, his last great novel, and a really, really wonderful thing. I had this as a mass market forever and ever. Read it 3 times and found something new in it every time. But I recently, this is just recently, yes? Yeah, I recently found the hardcover, I think at a library book sale, and just grabbed it because the mass market paperbacks will only live so long. Okay, we want to make room here. We're just going to go to the end of this thing. Don't want that toppling over. Okay, you definitely don't belong here. This is Barbarian Life by Roy Thomas. And this is a literary biography of Conan the Barbarian in 3 volumes that takes you through Conan's publication history, definitely through all of Roy Thomas's time writing Conan. Just wonderful. Roy Thomas is so good at this sort of thing. I really wish there were some truth to the long-standing, now 30-year rumor that he was writing a gigantic memoir of life in comics. Because if these books are any indication of what that book would be like, it would be incredible. But he's getting on in years. He is. Roy Thomas. It's hard to believe because I think of him as a wunderkind. But he's getting on in years. He proved just recently with Savage Sword of Conan #7 that he can still write an absolutely fantastic story for a comic book. But if there's a memoir in the works, I would love to see it. Okay, then we have a biography of. Actually, not. It's not. This is not a biography. The subtitle stresses that this is a study. It's a literary study, but there isn't much biography if you only live to 30. So it fills that bill too. This is edited by Benjamin Shumsky, and it's called Two Gun Bob. It's got some schmutz on the cover there, and it's a literary study of Robert E. Howard that is really, really good. I have bookmarks and annotations all throughout this thing, and it was with Roy Thomas's literary biography of Conan, Robert E. Howard's most famous creation. So that makes a kind of sense. Okay, all right, and here there is Dark Valley Destiny. This is Elsprague de Camp's biography of Robert E. Howard with those other things, so that's good. We've got a little block of theme going here. Okay, and Charles Hoffman with Mark Cesarini. This is Robert E. Howard, A Closer Look. So another personal study, literary study intertwined. Really hard to do it otherwise. There is a new biography of Robert E. Howard that came out this year. It puts all these others to shame as an actual biography. It's the first time, really, that a biographer actually went at the subject of assembling the life materials of this figure, the way you do with any biography. All these other biographies they spawn outward from the author having fallen in love with Conan or Kull and begin to be biographical, when that's the opposite. That's the reverse direction of what you're supposed to take. And the biography that came out this year, it's actually quite good. And I think we saw it on this channel. I think I held it up for you. Well, anyway, it's quite good, and it is the first biography of Robert E. Howard that actually takes the right biographical approach, which is to assemble the life with the materials rather than rejoice in the materials and, oh yeah, I'd better add something about the life. Let's keep going here. Might as well do this whole shelf since we're so close. This is Peter Hunter Blair, The World of Bede, historical study of the Venerable Bede and his time, what the England was like, the various countries of England was like in his day, what state of publication was like in his day, which was of real interest to me. Okay, well, I don't need you anymore, do I, darling? This is a Greenspine Penguin classic of Edna St. Vincent Millay's early poems. Well, these things that I admit are lovely. These wonderful, what were they called? Penguin 20th Century Classics. These were the predecessors to the Penguin Modern Classics now, and they were quite lovely. But I don't need this anymore. I have the big collected Edna St. Vincent Millay. That's all I need. I certainly don't need individual volumes. And here's another one. This is another Penguin 20th Century Classics. This is their first volume of the Forsyte Saga by John Galsworthy. So here you've got 3 books: Man of Property, In Chancery, and To Let. And then I imagine the second volume had the others. And I'd never seen the second volume. This is the only one that I have. If I'm going to keep it, and I am, it doesn't belong out here. It belongs in the little book room. Okay, this is a double. This is a double of Lord of the Rings with the French flaps here and this rather attractive cover design. That's one of the reasons that I like this. This is a movie version, a movie tie-in, and yet it's not ugly the way so many movie tie-ins are. Most of them are. There are plenty of Lord of the Rings, Peter Jackson movie tie-ins that are absolutely ugly. One has a blurry picture of a man on a horse, presumably a Nazgul. One has a blurry picture of Gandalf, who looks like Gandalf the Brown. and I mean blurry. I mean, you could have made a computer program, since you're transferring this over anyway, you could have made a computer program to sharpen up that image for your book cover, and instead you don't do it. You just leave it out of focus when your post-production team can see that it's out of focus. And this is not like that. This has not only the raised lettering here on the author and the title, but all it is just a centering on the ring. Quite nice. Very rare that I will find a movie edition cover that I like. All right. You are science fiction. You do not belong here. This is Gollum Raised to the 100th Power by Alfred Bester. A strange late Bester novel that has all sorts of psychedelic illustrations all throughout it. It's experimental in all the ways that I should hate, but I love this author so much that I don't care. And I have the mass market paperback of this and The Deceivers, the other book that really fits this period. And I like the way Bester writes, so I go back to these things. So I'm always happy if I find a nice hardcover. I found a hardcover of this, but it doesn't belong here. It belongs either in the little book room, because I do go back to this, or there's a rudimentary science fiction section that is trying to develop. It could belong there. Okay, if it goes there, then you go with it. This is an advanced copy from 2019 of Black Leopard, Red Wolf by Marlon James. This whole series is just terrific, just absolutely terrific. We have a pub sheet in here. Okay, well, maybe we saw this on this channel. The advanced copy of this was sent in a kind of sexy velvet case that you just slide the book into. And I have never, testament to how well loved these books are, I have never seen this book in a secondhand bookstore. I've never had a chance to get an actual industry copy of this book that isn't an advanced copy in a slide box. I've never had a chance to do that with this or either of the sequels. I would like to. I would like to get the whole set. Okay, there's a Library of America just marooned over here. Oh, this is collected nonfiction of Philip Roth. Why Write? A collection of his, I don't know, writing addresses to colleges and whatnot. This is from the publisher. Yeah, this is just sitting here. This is just the Library of America volume just sitting here. Why? Why isn't it with all the others? What on earth? Okay, well, it's the only bearable Philip Roth, so I'm glad that I have it. And then this last one is a Library of America as well. Oh, this is the Library of America of John Williams. So I have Butcher's Crossing, Augustus, and of course Stoner, the greatest novel ever written. I have all three of these in the Library of America volume, just sitting here in a corner of a shelf in shadow. 20 hours out of the day, this shelf is completely in shadow. So anyway, sorry for the length of the video. That is the whole shelf, and now I am free to maneuver here with Mordor. I'm free to maneuver because all that's left here is graphic novels, hundreds of comic book collections, graphic novels, all that, just hundreds of them, and all that's left here is them. And now I can deal with them. Now that I have room to maneuver, so I'm going to wrap this up, of course, and then I'm going to go through these stacks. Now that all the books are off the shelf, I'm going to go through these stacks and separate out the books that belong in the little book room and just put them in there. So that at least I'm decreasing it by that much. Then I can separate out the books I don't actually want and put them for sale. And then once I'm done with that, I can deal with the graphic novels and just get them under control. I'm looking forward to it, but I won't do that. I won't do that now. I won't waste your time. So I'll wrap this up, and then actually that concludes the hutch. That concludes the Darkest Depths of Mordor. So if we're going to continue a library tour, I don't know what we're going to do. I'll think of something. I always do. So I'll be back. Thank you, BookTube.